And it's time for me to make a new plinth. So that's what I did. Unfortunately, I didn't take any video of it, but I can at least give you a nice brief overview now. So this is my old plinth. As you can see, this thing is incredibly tiny. It is as small as it looks. I used the last bit of refractory mortar that I had used to cast the base and just poured it into this container and let it harden. As you can see, I mean, but it's no longer satisfactory. I really want to start being able to do bronze. I want to start using my graphite crucibles that I got a year ago, but just haven't had a chance to sit down and do it. So here it is. I made a mold out of a 5-gallon bucket, and then I split a bunch of pieces of CPVC and glued them and caulked them to the wood, and then onto a piece of plywood, and painted it and sealed it, and then cast it in a bucket and pressed the pattern into here. So this is my I guess technically it's my spill relief. So if a crucible ruptures inside my furnace, the aluminum or bronze can roll down the side and then get to the bottom of the furnace. So that's why I did what I did. This is how it turned out. I don't know how it's going to work, but we're going to put some Satanite on this thing, and then we're going to seal it. We're going to put it inside the furnace, and then we're going to fire this thing up and treat this thing, and then we may even get a chance to do some casting today. Not 100% sure. So we're going to mix up some Satanite. I'm going to get some water, and we'll get started. So my old one wasn't covered in Satanite, but because I've now invested some time in this thing, I've got some effort put into it, I'd like to build something that's going to last. So I'm just going to coat it just a little bit on the top, just to give it some protection, just in case I decide to get into any cast iron. I'm not saying that's going to happen, because like I said, I haven't even successfully melted bronze yet. But we're, hopefully we're working our way towards that goal. Old tie rod here for stirring. So also in the creating of this plinth, I used kale wool. I hadn't done that in my furnace, and when things were all said and done, it is just way too heavy. And if I could go back in time and do it again, I would have used some kale wool on the walls of it, and probably in the base too. Probably would have put a couple sheets down of some 3/4 inch or some 1/4 inch, anything to just take up some volume, so I wouldn't have had to use so much refractory cement. And yeah, so that anybody who's out there who's thinking about doing this, that is definitely, weight is definitely something you should consider. Just makes everything cumbersome, difficult to work with. Yeah, all of the above. So you should definitely consider it when you're making one of these things. It's hard to haul around. Luckily, I have a forklift I can use to move mine, but unfortunately, if I had to move mine around by hand and I was doing this in my garage at home and not at a shop, I'd be in some big trouble, because you almost wouldn't be able to do it. It would not be feasible. Okay, right now I'm just going to try to trying to heat the Satan up that I just applied to the inside of the furnace. And then we're going to put the new plinth in there and see what happens. So I'm not trying to get crazy with the heat. I'm just merely trying to dry the water out of the Satanite that I've applied. So I'm going to give this thing a little bit of oxygen. Just let it heat for a little while, and then I'll turn you guys back on when we put the Plynth in. Alright, so we've heated it up for about 15 minutes, drove out the majority of the moisture from the Satanite that I relined the furnace with, in a couple of places where it had chipped off, and now we're going to start it and let it gradually heat up with the Plynth in there and try to drive the moisture out of the Satanite and the original coating. So we'll see what happens. I'm just going to let it heat up like this for about 30 minutes before we really start to crank the heat up. That way everything can have a chance to normalize, if that makes sense. Alright, so just a quick update video. Here is what my Plynth looks like after a bronze fire. So this thing turned out real good. It's real clean. No cracks, no nothing, and it has the wool inside of it too, to cut down on the weight. So probably my only issue is right there. I don't know if you can even see it, but the Satanite's peeling away from the internals. But just a quick update on the Plynth. I'm going to post this video ASAP. So there you guys go. It's actually holding up really well, and this thing was freaking hot.